Oh, hey, it's good to see you again. It's so crazy that we keep running into each other. I don't mean to be forward, but do you want to grab some gaming news?
You have a wife, Elijah.
Nintendo is suing 2 more people, including the main moderator for a piracy subreddit. The first complaint targets Ryan Daly, who runs a company called Modded Hardware that sells both modded Switch consoles and devices that allow unmodded Switches to play pirated games. In addition to Daly, Nintendo is also suing James Williams, better known as Archbox, the main moderator of Switch Pirates subreddit. Nintendo's complaint alleges that Williams has been operating several pirate shops, which unfortunately aren't stores specializing in eye patches and cool hats. They may not even technically be shops, since it doesn't seem like anyone actually spends money. Nintendo claims the free shops, operated by Williams, allowed anyone to download pirated games for free. Lawyers for the Mario Mafia pointed out that William publicly admitted he is a pirate and that he isn't going to give Nintendo $50 for a game. Not that Nintendo would take the $50. Even their remaster of the decade-old game Luigi's Mansion 2 costs nearly $60. Hey Nintendo, do you think that sort of pricing is exacerbating or
Exacerbating. Definitely not masturbating.
Hey Nintendo, do you think that sort of price is exacerbating for the yar har fiddle-dee-dee? I like saying that, it's fun. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy with common sense. You can't script that, I don't have any. More layoffs have hit the gaming industry as Ubisoft's Toronto branch announced 33 people will be losing their jobs. The studio phrases the news a little differently. It says it's conducting a targeted realignment to ensure it can deliver on its ambitious roadmap. Yeah, sure. Because everyone knows it's much easier to achieve ambitious goals with fewer people. Job cuts are also being reported at Surgent Studios, who developed this year's Tales of Kenzera Zao. Yet while nearly 20,000 workers have been affected by mass redundancies, Japanese studios have been virtually untouched by layoffs. That's because Japan believes in honor, tradition, and just kidding. It's because they have employment laws that make layoffs very difficult. Unfortunately, Xbox was able to tiptoe around this little problem with Tango Gameworks by shutting down the whole company. Damn.
That's the loophole.
Another advantage Japanese developers apparently have is that Japanese isn't widely spoken outside the country, creating a language barrier that makes it difficult to replace domestic workers with cheaper foreign labor. Meanwhile, workers at Bethesda Game Studios' Montreal office unionized in an attempt to ensure job security, since they all stupidly decided to grow up speaking English.
Guys, Prostrat, learn Japanese.
Yesterday's Capcom's Next event featured some exciting announcements, including new details about Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster. After teasing the title last week, Capcom revealed it would be releasing this year. The remaster will digitally launch on September 19th, and a physical release will occur sometime in November. Really, 2 months later?
Yep.
While the Deluxe Remaster features a massive graphical upgrade and some quality of life improvements to gameplay, the game isn't a remake. The developers tried to keep the original character animations unchanged to preserve the game's charm. And if that wasn't enough for zombie enthusiasts, the next Resident Evil game is in development, and it's being directed by Koshi Naganishi, the director of Resident Evil 7. There were even more details about the upcoming game Kunutsugami, which may not be as anticipated as the preview suggested it should be. In the action strategy game, you shore up defenses during the day and fight waves of evil forces during the night. Some of you may be saying to yourself, gosh, that sounds a lot like the game Sang-Froid Tales of the Werewolves. But I'm guessing a lot of you are probably wondering, what the hell is Sang-Froid Tales of the Werewolves?
Explain it to them, Elijah.
Well, I don't know that game, but what I do know is today's sponsor, War Thunder, the free-to-play and comprehensive vehicular combat game. We don't know what these vehicles are fighting about, but it must be pretty important. War Thunder sets itself apart by having historically accurate vehicles, right down to how they sound. I did all the sound effects. I promise you they sound better than that. There's over 2,500 different machines to operate, from the biplanes of the 1920s to the tanks of today's. You can play on PC and console with fully supported crossplay, so join over 70 million other players right now and help out the channel in the process by clicking the link below. Here's the quick bits where we speedrun 5 smaller stories, which is pretty appropriate based on our next story. GDQ, which stands for Games Done Quick and not Gamer Dairy Queen to everyone's disappointment, has immediately dispelled that disappointment by kicking off their speedrunning marathon for charity. In true speedrunning fashion, they are blasting through a schedule stuffed with runs from Alan Wake 2, Dishonored, Mass Effect. I don't know why we're listing the titles here. I think they are literally playing every game. There's also a 7-game Hummel bundle, which along with the stream is raising money for Doctors Without Borders. So unless you think doctors should have borders, you should go check out the stream. It's running till July 6th.
Well, if they don't have borders, how does their body stay together?
In preparation for the release of the remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, Konami has made a bold decision to acknowledge MGS's fans' misgivings about the franchise's direction. According to the first production hotline presentation, only 24% of the fan feedback was positive, with 64% being neutral and 11% being negative. The last major game in the franchise, Metal Gear Survive, was a poorly conceived zombie game with barely any relationship to the established canon. plus the flawed release of the Master Collection, which didn't so much remaster as it re-Padawanned 5 early entries into the MGS franchise. The just announced Transformers Galactic Trials looks like a racing game, but turns out to be more that meets the eye. Anyway, listen, the game interrupts the races with third-person shooter sections where the Autobots and Decepticons decide to switch to robot form and have a little battle, as a treat. That's kind of cute. It's the kind of wacky genre mix-up that only the Transformers could pull off, which is why we apparently tolerate them coming in periodically to level our cities all the time.
Guys don't understand, they're looking for the Allspark.
From Software boss Hidetaka Miyazaki and writer George R.R. Martin have given a subtle, and perhaps less than subtle, hints that Elden Ring is getting a film or TV adaptation. Miyazaki gave the subtle quote to The Guardian, while Martin wrote a blog post about as subtle as the Elden Ring death screen. But the game already influenced TV. Apparently the costume of the Stranger character from the Star Wars series The Acolyte. Is that how you say it? Acolyte? I never watched Star Wars, it's lame.
First of all, f you. Second of all, it's the Acolyte.
Apparently, the costume of the Stranger character from the Star Wars series The Acolyte was inspired by armorless Elden Ring experts like Let Me Solo Her. I love that guy. But that's not the game's only influence on the show. The Acolyte's creators liked Elden Ring so much, they decided to make The Acolyte incredibly difficult to watch for Star Wars fans.
We are one! We are two! We are many!
Other people!
It's not the Force, it's the thread.
The Catholic Church is preparing to canonize Carlo Acutis, an Italian teenager who tragically died of leukemia in 2006. Carlo has been characterized as the church's first gamer saint, as in addition to his good works, he apparently enjoyed Pokemon, Mario, and Halo games, making him the saint of choice to pray for the sick frags and plentiful loot drops. There's even an upcoming game featuring Carlo, the Acutis game, described as the first Catholic open world metaverse, which, yeah, probably.
Hell yeah, I mean, heck yeah!
In terms of gameplay, you apparently go around meeting various ancient and modern saints and go skiing with John Paul II. That sounds fun.
I love God and I shred the mountains.
And you'll be a saint if you come back next Thursday for more gaming news. Or you can kick all the snakes out of an entire country. That also works. But then you won't get any news.